Steve, great to chat to you today, and thank you for coming in. 25 years in digital with you and the team. That's seems like a lifetime.
Yes.
A lot of experience, but I mean, digital, we think of something that changes so fast. Have there been any trends at all in that period? Are there some things that haven't changed at all?
Yeah, you hit on something with that straight away, actually, because somebody said this to me a month ago. They said, the thing about your industry, it changes so fast and so much. I don't know how you keep up with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's an in-house marketing team, marketing manager. And I hear it every now and then, but I actually sort of argue with it because my experience is it doesn't really change. It's never really changed. If I wind the clock back, I could wind it back a decade or 2 decades. It's always been that if you're online, your marketing is working. If you understand your customer, you've got to understand them deeply. You've got to have a clear proposition, and you've got to pitch it directly to your exact audience that your best possible ideal customers.
Yeah.
The channels have changed a little bit. You know, there's been LinkedIn appeared at one point, and and Twitter and TikTok appeared and so on. But it's basically the same principles. It's if you apply the principles, it works. The technology will always change, but it's just a tech change. You know, it's the underlying principles have been the same throughout. Yeah. I think always will be.
So how do you embrace that taking those foundations, but then knowing the platforms, knowing the strategies? You know, how do you mix these things that are rock solid constants with stuff that is changing all the time? There'll be more platforms come out while we've been sat here chatting.
Yeah.
So how do you find that spot that then works for growth?
Yeah. So we could sort of divide it in two. You have on one side the thing that's constant, which is your strategy. It's a foundation. So when a marketing team or a business has got its strategy really nailed, there's usually a document or some documents or diagrams, like there'll be a value proposition and a customer avatar and all these sorts of things. And they're solid, they don't change. And then there's the thing about how do you amplify them and where do you amplify them? And that's the thing that can change. And there's a really sort of beautiful little principle that once you've got it, it can sort of keep you going for years. And it's that when a new channel comes in, there's a period where it's really hot and really cheap, actually.
A channel being an outlet for your...
Sorry, yeah, so look, the LinkedIn video would be a channel now, actually, where LinkedIn are amplifying video disproportionately because LinkedIn wants to get into video.
Yes.
So we know now if we publish video on LinkedIn, we're going to get really, really good engagement. And that would have been the case at one point with text posts and then images, but now it's video.
Yeah.
So you always want to be riding the wave of what's the up and coming, what's the thing that the social media channels want to promote, where are they trying to get to? And if you ride the wave of that, you get the cheapest traffic and the most exposure.
Right.
So it just happens to be video now. In a couple of years, it might be a different kind of video or something else.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't disappear too quick based on what we do.
Exactly, yeah.
So I guess for you and the team, is it keeping abreast of those? But what you're saying is those core messages, the traits of a product and a service and a business will likely remain, the same. But then it's just plugging into the correct channels to keep those messages being seen by the right people.
Yes, yeah. There are some other principles actually that I suppose they're about how you organise yourself to approach it.
Yeah.
So there's the principle there about the strategy and choosing the right channel for the time. But then if we go into marketing team, I would have met a couple of hundred, I suppose, over the years, got in and seen them at work. And there's something where the ones that are really succeeding, they've sort of planned 2 or 3 years ahead. They know what the messages are going to be. They'll have quarterly campaigns, different message, all around the sort of pillars that are important to that business. But they'll roll them out very, very calmly, sensibly, sort of minimal effort. It will be a small number of assets they'll have invested in, maybe some white papers or some online tools or some video actually, and they'll just be carefully amplifying that repeatedly to the same people.
Right.
So there's that principle of being organised and strategic that way. Whereas I go into other marketing teams and I see really, really they're sort of celebrating the volume of what they're doing, or how busy they are. You know, how many different things they've put out this week, how many social posts, how many blogs, and so on. And that's quite a noisy, less targeted message. So it's the quiet, organised marketing teams that are really succeeding.
Yeah.
And it's the ones that are sort of quite happy just being busy that are not. So it's about how structured you are and how you approach it as well.
Now, obviously, the platforms want you on there for their own ad revenue and you know, visitor numbers and things. Do you find though that perhaps the public or global voice of a lot of platforms is almost contrary to what is actually going to work? Because I think from what you're saying is it's a quality of message sent to the right people, whereas a lot of the platforms may say, "Come on, volume, let's," you know, and TikTok for Business, when that came out, I think we went to 3 sort of networking events, and everyone was saying, "Stop everything you're doing, TikTok," and it was about the platform, and no one was saying, "Well, what stories have you got? You know, what messages and what core values do you want to?" It was just get on TikTok for Business, and your world will change. And I always thought that was a bit odd.
Yeah, totally. And I guess that's something you'd understand in video. When you put in a video together, then the quality, the clarity of the message is so important, isn't it? I guess. Yeah. But yeah, there's a couple of things with that. One is the channels themselves. I mean, I'll just speak for the work we do, and it illustrates it really. I'll speak for one thing that we do. So we're running LinkedIn campaigns for clients, Google Ads campaigns, Facebook ads for clients, and so on. And all those channels, whilst we're doing that, there's messages coming at us relentlessly that you need a call with our advisor. Yeah. You know, you need a call. We've got some tips for you. And we don't do those calls because we used to do them, and when we did, it always seemed to involve spending more and more reach. There's never anything else. And actually in the control panels of those systems as well, there's a couple of settings in each one which are really just about giving you less targeted traffic and spending more. So of course, the multi-million pound businesses, their aim of those sales teams is to make you spend more. It's not about you getting more. You've got to get a reasonable return, or else you'll leave it. But the main thing is just, can they get you spending 25% more? Yeah. So there's something there. It's not about more. It's about being in front of the right people. The best illustration of that is with many clients running campaigns with whatever thousands of pounds spent per month. We manage them for them, and you wouldn't know those campaigns were running unless you were in the exact target market of that company.
So it's the opposite of scattergun.
Yeah, your competitors won't know that their campaigns are running. If you're on the edge of being the ideal customer, you wouldn't know. But if you're in that exact market, you'll be getting something every 3 days, and it'll happen for a year. And it's that accumulation of the same core message to a really tight audience and the repetition. And that's when you start getting a flow of leads or sales or visibility coming from it.
So when you're talking to clients, there's always I think increasingly in the world, we want results now. Yeah. And historically, we've looked at companies, for SEO, and they'll say, "Oh, maybe Q3 you'll start seeing some traction, but in the meantime, we want 1,500 quid a month or whatever." And as a business owner, I think, no, that's not going to work. But being sensible about it, what is the kind of gestation period, or what? And I love the fact that you were saying, looking ahead and planning ahead. Yeah. But how soon should someone be expecting, meaningful, results from their their outreach efforts? Yeah,
so that is a real issue. So I mean, we've obviously 25 years, we've worked out how to tackle it for ourselves. Yeah. And there's no solution. It's a little bit like if I hired maybe I hire a salesperson. I'm not expecting the month 1, 2, and 3 to be the big numbers. I'm expecting years 2 and 3 to be the big numbers. Yeah. So how do we approach that jointly with the client, where we're all sort of seeing what's going to happen and feeling relaxed about it? So we've got some boundaries. So we don't do anything less than a year's contract, for one thing, because we know you're not going to get results until the second half of the year. Yeah. We actually say it's going to be year 2 when you get big results. But how do we get people on board with that? Well, we run a workshop at the beginning and map everything out that's going to happen, show evidence of what's happened on other campaigns, and you can show a trend.
So it's that planning again.
Yeah. And the reason is you need the accumulation of data. Everything's based on data. So if we run 10 campaigns in the first 6 months, we've got all the data from those. How did people in you know, X, Y, or Z sector respond to these ads? How did people of these salaries respond to these ads, these ages, these locations? And after 6 months, you've really got something that's pretty decent in terms of that data's told you where to go. Yes. After 12 months, you're flying with that data.
Yeah. And is the data really the kind of the hero content for you guys? You know, if you've got data that you know you can trust it, and it's based on behaviours, does that really lead the way more so than an emotional?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to have a heart in it when you build the campaign, because it's got to connect, and you've got to be authentic and real with it. But it is addictive. I mean, maybe every couple of days I go and look at ours and a couple of clients, but it's addictive just going to look and see what companies have looked at us in the last couple of days, which individuals have been, and it's people you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, right, okay, so such bodies, 3 people from that company have looked at some of our content 11 times in the last 2 days. So they're talking about us.
Yeah.
I know they're talking about us. I might not get anything from them for a year, but you know, I know they're interested. And we're also recording every visit through everybody that visits every website we run as well.
Yeah.
So we actually watch the recordings, and if you just watch 50 of those, you get a picture of what people are thinking when they're going through your site, and what they're interested in.
And can you then scale those up, and you do find some trends in that sort of behaviour?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And I mean, our web team is, I don't know if I could say as experienced as they call me. I've been with us for years and years and years. Whatever, I built 100 plus sites together. The current team, you know, we've built 250 over the years as a whole group. But still, even with all that expertise, we put things live and you watch it and you think, hang on a minute. And you can tell after a week they want some more information on this.
Yeah.
They need a video on this, or they need something more authentic on this. So, but yeah, the audience will tell you if you watch.
I would imagine, and again, probably speaking from personal experience as being an owner-managed business, and I'm quite passionate about things, and I get ideas that some are great and some perhaps the team will tell me else are great. Is that perhaps the biggest challenge to your sort of, you know, clients of you know, let's talk to experts, let's look at this data, rather than thinking, you know, insular, I want to tell them this, rather than what are they wanting to hear?
Yes, it is. And I think we'll probably turn away more clients than a typical agency. Well, we definitely do. I think we turn away 4 out of 5 leads that come in, and there's different reasons for that. It might be the profile of the business, but it's what's that attitude to getting jointly coming together, and we're going to get deep and work this out together. You're going to work out the formula that your customers will respond to for 10 years.
Yeah.
But we're only going to work it out if you're prepared to relax and have serious conversations with us for a year or 2 years, and we'll get the DNA of this, and your business can take it forever then. But it's got to be mature conversations about what's really happening, and a bit less of maybe one person's whim or the emotions of the board or a particular director or something. You know.
Brilliant. Steve, absolute joy to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Cheers.